My father was a mechanical engineer in his time, which is something that's sort of definitely, commanded science and math and physics. That's important to be a cinematographer. And my mother was, an amateur painter. So unbeknownst to me, I had this sort of proper background of science, math, and art. I bought this 8mm camera, and for a couple of months shot films of my buddies skateboarding, just shooting a lot of what I thought were cool shots. Well, I put that away after a few months, and then I went to college at the University of Texas. And my grades were not all that good because of lack of interest. And really sort of figured out at the end of my first year that if I didn't get my shit together, I'd wind up in Vietnam. So I was sitting there at the end of the school year with a friend of mine in his apartment, flipping through the course book for next year, which was about the thickness of a small phone book, because there were 32,000 students at that time at the University of Texas. And going, no, looking at this, looking at that. And the very last thing in there was the Department of Radio, Television, and Film. So I said to my friend Ted, Ted, I think that there's a Department of Radio, Television, and Film, and I think this is a film school. And he goes, what's a film school? And I go, what can he teach you in film school? I'm going, I don't know, but I'm going. I've got to do something, so I'm going to film school. Well, I go into film school on day one, and now it's fall of '68, and there's 20 of us in the class, and the teacher goes, look, there's very little chance of ever getting into this industry. This is a closed industry. It's really father to son. Outsiders do not get in. It's controlled by the unions. And if you're lucky, you'll get grants, you'll make films on the weekends and in the summers. Well, half the class got up and walked out at that point. I guess they figured they couldn't sell that to their parents. I stuck it out. By the time I got my master's degree, I felt like, well, I'm pretty good at this. I think I'll break this. And I predicted to my friends, pretty bold statement, that I will shoot feature film by the time I'm 35. And I will break into this industry and I will shoot feature films by the time I'm 35. Well, about 3 weeks after that, phone rings. It's Tobe Hooper. Tobe Hooper, I'm doing a film here. I've been checking out all the cinematographers in the state of Texas, and he goes, I reckon you're the best, and I want to send you a screenplay. I hung up the phone, I was like electrified, People at my house go, what's going on? I go, I'm 12 years ahead of schedule. I've been offered a movie.
Oil storage units continue to burn out of control at the huge Texaco refinery near the Texas-Louisiana border. 3 storage units exploded into flames during the night, killing at least 3 workers and injuring...
I'm going to be honest with you and the world, or the viewers of this. The lighting of that movie, all right, I knew a bit about lighting, and there's some points in it where I'm doing some very interesting stuff. There's a scene with Ed and Neal in front of the pickup truck and backlit, and that was my idea. It looks like it's headlights, but I actually have 2 1,000-watt lights rigged where the headlights are. I knew a bit about light, and I sort of got hipper because all of a sudden now I'm shooting every day, and I'm getting dailies, and I'm really my learning curve is going right up the top. I'm seeing film every day. But in a lot of ways, some of the lighting of that, some of the funky quality of it, has to do with inexperience and technical restraints that I just didn't have big lights. For one, they didn't exist. I certainly didn't. And there were some that did exist, but I didn't have access to them on that movie. It was a rather low-budget film. We originally started out to make that picture for $80,000. It was hot and I couldn't help the heat because I had to drive a lot of light in there, so it was even hotter. I mean, it was, it may have been 105 outside, it was probably 115, 120 inside by the time I added the lights to it to get it up to exposure. But, for me, when I'm shooting a film, no matter what I'm shooting, the conditions fall right to the background, you know. I mean, it's all about what you're doing at the time. You're so focused on what you're doing that, you know, I wouldn't really sit there and go, oh, I'm hot, you know, whine about it. I mean, you know, doing what I love.
Hello? Hello?
Well, we finished that whole sequence outside there. And okay, we're moving on, we're going inside now. I go, you know, Tobe, we had this dolly platform that was quite low, and I had 60 feet of track. And I said, you know, Tobe, if I were to lay down and hang the camera over the edge of this dolly, and with our 185 letterbox, I could keep the track out of the shot. I can be behind the swing as Terry stands up, and I can actually travel under the swing with her. And I said, and the house will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and eventually the house will like overtake the frame. And at the same time, we'll be walking behind Terry, who's got these short cutoffs, and, you know, Tobe gets this look like, oh man, how'd you come up with that? I mean, he's like, that is great. We start to lay the track. They go, what are you guys doing? Well, we're going to make this shot. No, you're not. You're not making this shot. You know, the shot is not on the shot list. You're only approved to make the shot list. You're moving on. Tobe goes, look, he goes, you guys may fire us, but for right now, I'm the director, he's the DP, and you cannot stop us. We are making this shot.
Kirk?
The film was very strong on paper. The script was really strong. So we knew this could be something strong. Of course, you never want to predict that it's going to be what, you know, how could you? You'd be considered egomaniacal if you did say, oh, this is going to be great, and it's going to the Museum of Modern Art, and 33 years later, people are still going to care about it, and, you know, be remade and all that. But still, at the same time, it was so strong on paper that I thought it would be something, you know, quite good.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
So, 1973, I shoot the original. In 1986, I have a daughter. And now, by sort of mid-90s, early 90s, I'm thinking, well, that's not, you know, that kind of film's really not that cool now. Now that I'm a dad, I'm a more responsible person. And I've had a good career at that point, doing music videos and starting to get a pretty good name in commercials. So I'm on a lot of panels, cinematography panels. And then people are saying, well, let's talk about Texas Chainsaw. Yeah, I'll talk about it, but I have to tell you that if that picture were offered to me today, I would not take it, because, you know, now I have this child in the world now, and you know, now it's not all a big joke. Now it's a serious matter, you know, to me. So I doubt I'd even take that film. Well, I had started to shoot with Marcus Nispel commercials. He was aware of my music video work. He had been a music video director, and had started to get a career going in commercials, and we started to work together. One day, I'm shooting a music video in Montreal, and my cell phone rings, and I answer, and it's Marcus. He goes, Daniel, he goes, I've just signed to do a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Will you shoot it for me? And I say yes immediately, and then you know, yes, but you know, I'm working right now. Let me call you later. Well, then I start thinking, oh my God, I've been telling everybody for a couple of years now that I wouldn't do a film of this type if anybody offered me this screenplay. Now, you know, several days pass. I finish my job in Montreal. I come back. I'm talking to Marcus about it. He goes, Daniel. He goes, look, I want you to shoot this film. He goes, there's multiple reasons. One, you are my cinematographer. You shoot my stuff anyhow. On that level, it's just a huge coincidence that you photographed the original. Two, he goes, I know from you telling me the stories over the year how important this thing is to your whole life, your whole career. Everything springs out of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, I was on my way to becoming a college professor. You know, I'm not a Hollywood cinematographer, member of the ASC. I thought I'd be a teacher. I feel great about having done both of them. They actually didn't feel that different to me. I mean, I was back in Texas, the same damn months. I was back there in freaking hot as hell July and August again. Although one was an $80,000 picture and the other was like $5 million below the line, it didn't feel a lot different to me, really. They're both tough, difficult, because all films are, because, you know, in the end, nobody wants to give you more money than you absolutely need. Nobody wants to give you more time than you absolutely need. And as a cinematographer, you're sort of the guy who sees to it that you get that done and on time and on schedule and with the resources you've been given. And of course, you never want to give up the quality. You always want to make absolutely the best film you can. I would absolutely not be the same person I am today if I had not worked on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And there's no way that I would have had the opportunities, and I've explained it to you in a long version of it, but there's no way that I would have had the opportunities to have the great career and the fantastic life that I've been afforded, in filmmaking. I'm very proud to have made it. And even though it's not, I'm not that evil of a guy. I mean, I do shave my head because my hair fell out, but I don't have any tattoos, I don't have any earrings, I'm not pierced, But so I'm not that weird of a person. I actually don't even that often go to those kind of films. But evidently, I think history will show that I'm good at making those kind of films.